WOAY TV4 in the heart of West Virginia.
This has been truly a wealthy year for high school basketball in the heart of southern West Virginia. The Mustangs of Mount Hope raced to more than 20 wins. Shady Spring featured an explosive 1-2 scoring punch of Martin and Wiseman, while Pineville used a pair of twins named McKinney to gun down opponents. Liberty made its first appearance in the state tournament, and Woodrow Wilson provided a full season of thrills. Ralph Ball of Princeton made sure the Tigers stayed on the prowl, but this season belonged to Oak Hill with a near storybook ending.
1989 state championship team from Oak Hill, West Virginia, Mr. Jim Lilly.
After 38 years of giving himself to the game, Jim Lilly was able to leave as a winner and leave us the Lilly legacy.
The game has changed dramatically, and of course, I think you've got to keep up. I feel like that I've changed, yes.
In his last 27 years, Jim Lilly sent 8 Red Devil teams to the state tournament, half of those getting into the finals with the 1969 and 1986 runner-ups, and a pair of champions. We'll highlight those teams for you a little bit later on, plus a half-dozen cheering and sportsmanship awards. Lilly secured 3rd place on the all-time victory list among state coaches, trailing a pair of other legends from southern West Virginia, Howard Loden of Ronceverte, and the man who once coached Lilly, Jerome Van Meter, who collected 647 wins at Point Pleasant and Woodrow Wilson. The game has changed in the last 3 decades, and success for Jim Lilly has meant changing too. Offensively, the three-point play on the high school level brought a different dimension to the sport. Most Red Devil followers will remember the long-distance bombs that have put points on the board. And who will ever forget the trifecta that Sammy Jasper Jr. hit in dramatic fashion against Woodrow Wilson to send that 1988 regional into overtime. He's had the guns who could pull the trigger, you'll never find this teacher of the game advocating that 19-foot, 9-inch weapon.
Back then, and of course prior to the three-point shot, I tried to get the good 15-foot shot because that was your percentage shot. And then, of course, you went to the three-point shot, and when you think about the three-point shot, if you shoot 30%, you're going to be making as much as you would if you were shooting 45% with the 2 points. And I had to adjust to that. I'm not too sure that I wholly accept it. I think that I would much rather have those kids out there shooting that 15-footer and being more disciplined than they are now. At the present time, you've got shooters, all they want to do, they'll back up, they know where that line is, they'll back up and shoot that shot rather than move in and, you know, drive into the basket. I think it's changed the game quite a bit. You've got to cover everybody out there now. I think basically you've got to go to something that's organized enough that you can cover every shooter on the outer perimeter. If you don't, that is, you either go to man for man or you go to matchup zone. If you don't go to those 2 things, you're going to leave somebody open. And, of course, that person that's open is going to beat you.
Always favoring the strong inside game, Lilly did welcome another change to high school basketball, the crowd-pleasing dunk.
Well, I love it. I love it. I think it's one of the best shots in basketball. Personally, I want my basketball players dunking as often as they can dunk. I encourage them to dunk. It's a good shot. It's the highest percentage shot that you've got. And any time that I can get one of them out there to, you know, to drive in and jump and dunk. I think I'm enhancing his ability to jump, too.
Leaving a game that has become such a part of you is never easy, but winning on your way out makes the exit a lot smoother. Just ask Bill Walsh. With his third Super Bowl of the 1980s neatly tucked away, Walsh retired on top. But the difference between the 49ers' Minner and Lilly was that Walsh waited until the end was near before deciding to quit. Jim Lilly made up his mind before the season started, and that put a little more pressure on his final season.
When I announced it, I had all the good intentions to go out, but the more I thought about it, I thought, well, shoot, if you're going out, why not go out, with a bang? I knew I was going to have a good ball club, but I didn't have any idea that we would be as good as we were. I was in hopes of making it to the state tournament and then see what would happen. But when we got there, I knew that we could win it all, and I think the kids sensed the fact that we could win it all.
Well, this wasn't the first time Lilly was able to win it all. We'll take a look at that and a very special tournament memory while the Lilly legacy continues.
Six-time NBA most valuable player, six-time member of NBA championship teams, the greatest scorer in the history of the NBA. Let's say thanks for all his contributions to the game to the master of the skyhook, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
For 2 decades, pro basketball fans have watched Kareem Abdul-Jabbar register mammoth scoring totals. And in his final stanza, the graceful 7-footer has been honored by adoring fans.
Consider you the best basketball player in the world.
But even before this future Hall of Famer laced up the sneakers in college, gentleman Jim Lilly was directing prep hoopsters in Oak Hill. So it was only fitting that the retiring coach would be honored as the Red Devils made road stops along the 88-89 season. Greenbrier East appropriately gave Lilly a fishing pole, a worthwhile tool for retirement. And how many battles with Beckley has Lilly found himself in the middle of over the years? But there is a brief truce by Dave Barksdale's bunch to acknowledge a one-of-a-kind. Thousands of people named Lilly gather annually in southern West Virginia to celebrate a massive reunion. That gathering has become worldwide. But this indoor Lilly reunion in 1989 was quite special. Red Devil players spanning more than a quarter of a century honored its legendary leader.
When he came to Oak Hill, he always had a little sly grin on his face, like he had a secret. He did. He showed us how to win basketball games.
There's enough room in the basketball library of Lilly for all of the players who followed his able direction. Each player players special, each team terrific.
It looked like old men. No, it's great to see all of them. I think I recognize most of them, too. You know, some of them, I got one neighbor right over here somewhere that I didn't even recognize. Slick Ward standing right over there. I looked at him, and he's a neighbor of mine.
Another rewarding time for Jim Lilly occurred this month 5 years ago. The first state championship for Jim Lilly at Oak Hill came in 1984. Strong inside play enabled the Red Devils to play like a well-oiled machine and mow down its foes in quick fashion. First came Wheeling Park. Oak Hill then grounded the Flying Eagles of South Charleston. And finally, the wall was ready to fall as the Red Devils stopped Stonewall 78-63 to claim the AAA title. And even then, Jim Lilly was quick to pass the credit on to someone else.
Well, it's just like I said, when I come down out of the clouds and realize what we have won and all of those things, I guess well, really, I don't know even how to explain it. I wasn't over-elated about the thing. You know, I'm tickled to death that we won, but I don't know whether anybody noticed, you know, I didn't jump into the air and flail away with my fist or anything like that. I just accepted it, and maybe it's because that I've realized that there's more to this winning from somebody else than it is, you know, my accomplishment.
Before this season started, I didn't think we would do, you know, a whole lot. And then as we progressed, I knew that we had something more than just a team. I've had a lot of teams that looked like or looked as if they would accomplish a heck of a lot. But this team has done much more than I ever expected.
Trips to the state tournament for Jim Lilly has provided countless memories. For 1 year, his Logan Wildcat Club created a fond memory for a longtime Logan Lilly fan. Martha Williams vividly recalls that eventful night.
Back when Coach Lilly was here about 32 years ago, we were in a state tournament in the old Civic Center, and we lost the game that night. At the same time, his daughter was born that night. And I always told him that he had his mind on that baby getting born instead of the ball game. And that's why we lost it.
I'd taken her to the hospital before the game. And then when I came back about 2 o'clock in the morning, I called, and I don't recall, but I don't think anything had happened at that time. But sometime just a little bit later, something did happen, and of course we had our daughter, the one that helps me now, Timmy, and she was born, of course, and my wife wouldn't even allow the doctors to call. She said that I was too tired, and you know, I was all shook up anyway, and so I didn't even know what time she was born.
He's one of the finest people I know, and he is a fine coach, and I love him very dearly.
In just a moment, we'll retrace the steps the Red Devils took in that championship season when the Lilly legacy continues. Years ago, Jim Lilly didn't realize that high school basketball coaching would be his future. The first head coaching job came in Virginia, but only after Lilly traveled into the neighboring state to play professional baseball with the Cardinal organization. Lucky for us, Joe Garagiola was catching for the Cards in the big leagues at that time.
I was back down there recently. I was down there. We had one of those old timers game, and one of the things they talked to me about was my ability to coach basketball then. They were talking about a team that was so undisciplined that they had there at the school, and they were saying, well, I bet old Lilly would discipline them. And of course, you know, that made me feel pretty good to know that they thought I was a pretty good disciplinarian.
After graduate study in Morgantown and an assistant coaching position in Lynchburg, Virginia, West Virginia began its love for Lilly basketball. Ironically, it was a Fayette County school that enjoyed the early success of Jim Lilly as Gully Bridge rolled up impressive numbers.
Well, back then, I didn't think much about it. I thought it was a pretty good coach, and I thought I was supposed to have a record like that. But, you know, after a while, I began to realize that those 24 and 1s and 20 and 0s and things like that just don't come along very often. It was an outstanding, I look back on it, and I know it's outstanding now, since I've been around a little while.
At about the same time when Jerry West was thrilling basketball fans at East Bank as a high school phenom, Logan was Lilly land. But it wasn't always paradise.
They treated me, you know, like a son, really. I can't say that anybody ran me out except one person, and I won't mention that one person. He put the pressure on everybody else. And they elevated me to principal at Chapmanville High School. But I didn't want to be a principal. I wanted to be a coach. And, of course, they brought in a real good coach that took my place, and that's what they were looking for, I think.
An assistant post at Dunboro High School in Kanawha County positioned this director of defense to change a losing program into winning ways.
You know, I had some apprehension about everything because I didn't know whether I was a good coach or not. Once you get run out of some place, you begin to wonder. And they didn't have a very good program here. And they'd lost something like 30 ball games in a row. And I said, well, there's no place for me to go except up. So that's actually the reason I took the job, is because if I could go up, I wasn't going to go any farther down.
Things were looking up in 1962 as Camelot was popular, and so was winning in Oak Hill. All of this set the tone for that championship season of 1989. Preseason polls indicated what other people already believed, and that was the Red Devils had something truly special. Early season wins placed Oak Hill among the best in the state. The only loss came during a holiday tournament against host and current #1 Martinsburg. But that close loss, far away from home, seemed to help Oak Hill prepare for the windy, wintry road of West Virginia basketball. The Red Devils moved up and down the hardwood floors like prime thoroughbreds and moved up to #2 in the state polls by the time the regular season ended. After a postseason win over Nicholas County, Greenbrier East provided the next big test.
This was the type of basketball that they'd want to play, and then, of course, as the score indicated, you could see the rest of my ball club was willing to play with them like that.
Ralph Ball of Princeton knows the road to a state title, and the regional final with the Tigers sold out every available seat in the Fayetteville Memorial Building. This Southern showdown lived up to its big billing. Oak Hill moved ahead, but the Tigers clawed back for a thrilling finish. The quality of play assured that nobody would leave until it was over. The first game of the state tournament pitted #1 against #2, and nearly 10,000 people watched the Devils tame the Bulldogs of Martinsburg. Longtime friend Don Stover of Stonewall was also in his final season of that school. Not by choice, but through consolidation. The Generals waged a tough and determined war before the Devils burned the nets and Stonewall's hope for an upset.
We're not done. We got to come back and get into this thing again tomorrow, and I'm very grateful for the fact that we're even getting to come back.
Brooke County held the final piece of the championship puzzle. And for the third time of the 1989 tournament, Oak Hill was the visiting club, but the good guys wore black and red. play from Brook delayed the celebration, but it appeared the Red Devils might as well have a little fun while they waited. Before a 53-47 decision, and another state title was claimed.
It feels great because it's his last year and all.
He enjoyed coaching us, and I wonder how he's feeling right now because we want to win it for him and the team and the fans.
We knew we could do it. It was just a matter of getting it done.
I got that RV out there. I got a very good $40,000 RV home, and I'm going to jump in that thing and go.
But before he goes, there's a victory celebration. We'll take a look at that when the Lilly legacy continues. There was no fire, no kill the night the Red Devils returned home with the state title, but there was plenty to be happy about. Hundreds of people jammed into the school gym to hug and applaud and even kiss its legendary leader.
And all I want to tell you, you're the people that were responsible for making all that noise that night and tonight when you got into the act down there when we needed you. I think that you helped win that basketball game. And
Our final tribute to Jim Lilly in just a moment.
'89 state championship team from Oak Hill, West Virginia, Mr. Jim Lilly.
It ended the way it started, with success and lessons about basketball and life along the way in the Lilly legacy.
Well, I love those kids, and I like for them to realize that, you know, in order to get along in society or anywhere, that you got to have that feeling of a little bit of love towards everybody. I don't care who they are or what they've done. You got to have, you know, some of their feelings in you. You got to look at them and say, now, what's wrong with this? You know, if they got a problem, and try to help them. And I hope that some of the kids that I've coached will, you know, look in the same direction.
I recognize most of them, too. You know, some of them, I got one neighbor right over here somewhere that I didn't even recognize. Slick Ward standing right over there. I looked at him and he's a neighbor of mine.